Me personally, I just tell the truth, and I'm an honorable man that deserves his credit. I've had, over a dozen people go on record and say I'm the top martial artist, and or I deserve my credit, and countless others in the comments, probably hundreds over the years, say that yes, you're fast, and so on and so forth, and then on the fast that they've seen, and on and on. And also, you can't really appreciate it unless you're looking on a bigger screen. I've noticed that when I first make it on my phone and when I watch it full screen or in a bigger screen um, on my computer, I truly appreciate the speed. But when I'm watching it on a smaller screen after it's been uploaded, for some reason it's a little bit more confusing. It has to do with the playback. Okay, there are playback issues associated with it. And also, when you look at some of these martial artists in these older recordings, something to do with the frame rate of the camera, you can't really tell how fast they're going. It's because the way the camera records the frames. So a lot of the faster martial artists on video camera, on recording, seem to be the older recordings of them, only because of how the playback issues and the frame rates of the cameras. So there's a lot of subtleties and intricacies associated with this sort of stuff and demonstrations and what have you. And then there's the fact that they're covertly drugging me, and I've proven that so many ways. And, I've already put the nail in the coffin, but to beat a dead horse, I'm still trying to find somebody to try these drinks. And they've been compromised because as I've been recording, with cameras in my room, there was a glitch in the recording the other day, and I don't know what caused it, but it created the potential for somebody to have gone in my room and switched the drinks out. And also, you got to realize the potential for perps too, because gang stalking, as I've proven beyond any doubt with the news and the police themselves admitting it's real, includes countless people, most of whom the victim has never met before. So this creates the opportunity for them to plant the aggressors, the perpetrators of this horrendous crime, into your life. And when you're trying to prove things or you're trying to get advice or anything like this, it allows the opportunity, it allows for a priceless opportunity for them to screw you over. And one of the main argument of the opposition view I see is not incoherent speech or that I'm not making good points. I think it would be very stupid for them to take that angle, seeing how I interact with dozens of people on Facebook every day, and I never get that from any of them. And whenever they try to make it seem like I'm crazy, it's always unreasonable and educated people who are more educated than the people who are making the claim, even though to me that doesn't matter too much, but apparently to society it does, or, call them out as bullshit. They're like, what are these trolls talking about? They're just trolling, trying to play you out because they're mad that you're putting them on blast. And I'll be talking the way I am right now, and you'll have trolls that try to, say some nonsensical madness when I'm very coherent, very cogent, very well-spoken, especially when you consider that I'm being covertly drugged. To compare the effects on my mind and on my brain from the covert drugging to something, you probably have to compare it to somebody who's on a large amount of alcohol. These things are intoxicants. They get you intoxicated, and it affects your ability to communicate your thoughts because they mess up your thoughts and they mess up your speech patterns. And when you couple it together, what do you think happens? So I've shown an uncanny ability to focus, even though there are these very consequential and significant factors that are impairing my ability to communicate effectively. And you'll see it in my grammar. Sometimes I'll say in instead of on and little silly things like that. But it doesn't exactly take the most careful of observers to see what I'm getting at and to understand me. And when you couple that with the fact that there's a large amount of Americans who do not speak proper grammar anyway, whether they speak quote-unquote Ebonics, or they're speaking English as a second language, or they're just uneducated. This becomes something that is irrelevant. And finally, when you consider that there are hundreds of people that I communicate with quite frequently that understand me quite well, and they do not see that there's anything wrong with me, it is insane to assume that there's something wrong with me. And when you look at my interviews and you see the results, that it is socially normative for people to think that psychiatrists don't know what they're talking about. So if psychiatrists are going to be honest when they're drugging people for what appears to be abnormal behavior, they need to realize that what they're doing is considered abnormal behavior. Drugging people based on something that you don't understand, and when most people think that you don't know what you're talking about. So there's quite a bit of ironies going on here, as you can see. So what the careful observer infers is usually the same thing as the average observer. That I am being persecuted for my political views. There is no motive for me to make this up. Covertly drugged or otherwise, I am still the top martial artist with a $3,000 challenge. I have that challenge for almost 3 years now, and I have a plaque to rub it in their faces. Now you have to realize that martial artists may focus well, but they're also a sensitive bunch. They're on the news, just like boxers, arguing with each other about which martial artists are best and which martial art is the best. And they make web pages and YouTube channels, and they continue their arguments and their disrespect for each other and their contempt for each other's martial arts systems. Martial arts systems, rather. So when you consider all this, it is quite absurd to listen to my videos and not see it my way. Okay? And of course I have people on record saying that they were told, more than one person saying that they were told to provoke me to go to the psych ward. One of them says it flat out because they're being honest. The other one I covertly drugged. Covertly recorded. I'm being covertly drugged here. I covertly recorded. I wasn't even in the same building as they are. They live in Southern California or something. Anyway, I covertly recorded saying, with them bragging about, how they're being told to do this and that they were chosen because they know how to push my buttons and so on and so forth. So let's look at the facts here. Then I have my mom covertly recorded saying that there's something in here with no smell that makes her throat hurt and she doesn't know what it is. Keep in mind, she's a general surgeon that doesn't know what it is. And she's an older lady, probably in her 60s or so. We don't celebrate birthdays around here, so I lose track. It's not exactly a high priority of mine. So then the idea that, well, whatever's going on is in my head becomes absurd. Okay? I mean, she couldn't even stay in here that long. And she specifically said, don't sleep in here, for God's sake, I believe was the word she used. But she definitely said, don't sleep in here. And she recommended I sleep in a different room. Okay? That is how much whatever they're fuming me with in here is hazardous to human health. And it messes, she said she felt it in her throat. And you see me in my martial arts videos and in past videos explaining, yes, they're fuming me and it's affecting my ability to do martial arts. It's affecting my wind. It's affecting my focus. It's affecting my coordination and so on and so forth. So look at the facts here. They all line up to completely support my argument. There isn't even a hint or a shred of evidence in over 4,000 videos in 7 years. I don't think there is a single person who has come out in, in a controversial position where they are criticizing psychiatry with 4,000 videos in 7 years of their behavior. And in the videos, their parents interrupt them saying, have you taken your medicine? Because they don't approve of their behavior. And every one of the viewers that is watching knows that, hey, this guy's making a rap song. There's nothing out of the ordinary about that. There are thousands and thousands and tens of thousands plus Americans that make rap songs with a lot of emotion. That's what they do. There are countless Americans who give passionate speeches with a lot of emotion. That's what people do. And even if it wasn't, it still wouldn't mean anything. But the fact that it is like, wow, you people have no case, you have no argument. And so their final argument becomes, well, you can't scream about how you want to kill people. And when you think about that, that is also socially normative. When people are drugging your food, when the people in charge are causing over 100 million preventable deaths, it is absolutely socially normative to talk about how you want to kill them. And when you're in the confines of your own room in the middle of nowhere, on over 15 acres, in the middle of nowhere, on a private road, it becomes the logical thing to do. So people vent, and that's what I was doing, venting in my room. Gang members and thugs all across America sit around drinking and smoking and talking about who they want to kill. Heavy metal people. When you truly look at it, people in the military, veterans, when you truly look at it, is it out of the ordinary for somebody when he feels he's alone to scream about who he wants to kill? Absolutely yes. It is normal, rather. Is it normal? Is it normal? Absolutely yes, it is normal. Is it normal for somebody who used to be a gang member, who sees himself as a warrior, to be high-strung? Absolutely yes. It is normal. Even Bruce Lee in his interviews comes off as extremely energetic and high-strung when he's talking relatively calm. So when you look at the situation, where is the abnormal behavior? It's nowhere to be found. Not only is it normal human behavior since the beginning of time, with cavemen and warriors screaming, and even the military when they scream for a certain order, a 10 hunt, or whatever, what have you. People scream in the rap songs people listen to all the time. I mean, there's on so many levels it is normal, and on so many levels it is insane to say that there's something wrong with this person. Not only is he reflecting on his own behavior, and he has over 4,000 videos in the last 7 years to reflect on, but other people on record in interviews say that there's nothing wrong with him. On record. And the person who knows him best in the world for the last 14 years said that I am the most normal person she knows. And she's referring to my insight. So I'm so insightful. When you think about it, what makes people normal, more normal than others, or the most normal rather, being normal really doesn't necessarily mean you have insight, but coming off as extremely normal to the people who know you best usually relates to your ability to understand things and to explain them away. Because being normal, being the most normal versus being weird has to do with your perception of the world. So since I have a superior understanding of the world, it becomes insane to say that I'm delusional, schizoaffective, schizophrenic, anything along these lines. It becomes madness. You become the person that people must question. Well, what's wrong with you? I mean, ask yourselves, what is wrong with two categories of people? One, the type of people who think that someone who is the most normal person around is abnormal. And category two, what is wrong with the person who knows he's normal, but is going to stalk him and give him harmful eugenic pills that cause 500,000 deaths annually in Western countries alone? What is wrong with those people? So which category are you, you opposition view cowards? Are you complete unscrupulous, dishonorable, ignoble, indignant dogs, indecorous filth, honorless trash that harm people because of your complexes and play normal people out as crazy? Or are you so fucking out of touch that you just don't get it? Which one are you, you cowards? Now, I've been in countless fights, and I've won over 100 sparring matches, and I've lost none, especially in the last 7 or so years. And funny enough that ever since my top martial arts challenge, the challengers stopped coming. It's like they don't want to be on YouTube losing. That's fine, either way, I'm the champ. And I realize that not everyone is as smart as I am, and there's a lot of people who lie. So I'm going to put a little demonstration here. Not my demonstration, a demonstration of Wing Chun versus Muay Thai. Now, I personally think Wing Chun is better, and the Wing Chun guy wins. But that's not the point of this. The point of this is I want to demonstrate how speed is the key in martial arts, and especially self-defense. If you cannot stop somebody from hitting you, you're not going to be able to disarm them. If you're not faster than somebody, and you can't properly measure your distance and your timing, you're going to get stabbed in the carotid artery or in the stomach or in the gut or somewhere that there's a high probability that you're going to die from it. The eye, or even worse, the groin. But anyway, all jokes aside, watch how this Wing Chun guy dominates this Muay Thai guy. Now, I would also like you to note the Muay Thai guy has boxing gloves on, which do slow him down. But the principle still remains the same, that it was the speed that allowed him to dominate him. And just like where you saw him with the match with the challenger, I knew he was trying to hit me hard, and I would have to, take steps backwards in order to tell him, hey, you've been hit already. It's time to stop, except for the last 2 hits. But really, anytime I wanted to, I could dominate him with my speed and my proper judgment of timing and distance, just like any other fighter. And watch this without further ado. See, in that case where he was backing up, it was because of his inability to, to overcome the blows that were coming, to win the exchange. That's not always why everyone is backing up. Martial arts matches typically go back and forth. You've seen that with the challenger, where sometimes he was backing up, sometimes I was backing up. That's actually the appropriate response to certain attacks, Well, when you look at transferable skills, right, it would be a transferable skill for that guy to use his speed to also stab that guy to death while that guy was trying to block him and going backwards. Now, as you can see, he was never given the option to try to take him down, just like in a real fight. Say the guy in the white gi had a knife and he was going at him the same way. Would that guy have time to duck down and try to take him down? No, it's not a practical move. So MMA fighting is just for the cage in MMA fighting, or perhaps you're in a fight on the streets where it's not a fight to the death. That becomes some sort of a contest, some sort of a fist fight, some sort of a mutually agreed combat that almost certainly doesn't end in fatalities. When you're talking about martial arts, there was an honor code that comes with it. These people didn't just get in fights with people at bars, just to be tough. They didn't, instigate fights with people on the street. When they were using fighting tactics, it was to defend the sacred artifacts in the Buddhist temple, for instance, fight off the Chinese army, fight off bandits. It was to kill people. So to be the top martial artist, it has nothing to do with competition. It has to do with the transferable skills for combat that allows one to kill somebody else. Everything else is just entertainment and other aspects of the art, such, for example, competitions where you compare forms or flexibility, or demonstrations that have to do with iron shirt and iron palm or breaking bricks. All this stuff is nice and cool, but it's not really what martial arts are. Martial arts are codified systems of combat, not codified systems of demonstrations or sports competitions. So therefore, in any competition that is going to show who's the top martial artist, it has to include demonstrations of transferable skills, and the first hit must matter. Because when you're on the battlefield and you're rushing in, if you get stabbed with that fucking sword or dagger, it's probably a wrap. He slashes you with the samurai sword, it's probably a wrap. He slashes you with the Chinese sword or the Chinese spear, the butterfly knives, it's probably a wrap. So therefore, when you're looking at transferable skills in self-defense and picking up objects and dexterity, agility, distance, timing, all this stuff, the best way to show it is sparring. There's nothing else that comes close. And if somebody cannot use the same transferable skills that they would use in combat and sparring, you have to ask, well, why? Why on earth couldn't you? You're telling me you can dodge an arrow or a sword, but you can't dodge a guy with a a boxing glove on or something, a sparring glove on, a karate or taekwondo glove on? Are you fucking kidding me? You expect us to believe that you would beat that guy in a street fight if somebody pulled out a knife, but you can't stop him from hitting you with a glove on his head in full sparring gear? The fuck are you talking about? Anyway, there's a lot of martial artists who are very dishonest about this. It is very despicable. They say, well, what does sparring prove? Sparring is the only thing that proves anything without fighting to the death, you dumb son of a bitch. And I'm not going to go over this again because you're a dishonorable dog.